Jeff and Jeremy. It's like a radiogasm.
I said, hey, babe, check it out on the podcast.
Apple Podcast, Google Podcast,
and Spotify.
All this is going viral.
Good morning and welcome in. Hope you had a great weekend. Hear that money? Could be yours. Coming up 8:20 this morning. Find out how you could win $1,000. Actually, I'm going to tell you right now. Tune in at 8:20 this morning. We're going to tell you how you can win $100 every single day and $1,000 when this thing's all said and done. In your pocket, there you go. $1,000. 8:20 this morning. All the details coming up.
I know you're a big fan of Kelsey Grammer, but you're a big fan of Kelsey Grammer as Frasier, correct?
Yeah, I like some of his other stuff that he's done as well. He's a pretty good actor.
What else? What other things?
He did another sitcom where he was a news anchor. And,
did you like that sitcom?
And I think I've seen him in a movie.
What was the name of that sitcom?
With Deborah Messing. Or not Deborah Messing, Deborah,
From
Ray's wife. She was in it. That one kid was in it who actually became, after that show,
Ray's wife.
Like Ray from Ray. Everybody Loves Raymond. Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh, Deborah Barone.
Deborah Barone. That's her name. Yeah.
No, that's not her name in real life.
Oh, Deborah Barone was.
What is her name in real life?
I don't know. That's a good question.
She was in The Middle. God, The Middle is a great show too.
I never saw that one. Let's see. Kelsey Grammer. Let's see here. What is Kelsey Grammer been doing? He's a Republican. Did you know that? He also attended the school of.
Oh, that's interesting because when we talked,
I didn't know that about him.
When we talked to Patricia Heaton, and her husband, her real life husband, not Ray Romano, we started talking to her about her politics, and she was a Republican as well. And we asked her about being a Republican, and her husband was on the phone because I forget what they were pitching, a book or something like that. Her husband audibly goes, "Oh God, not this again." I was like, "Hold up, dude. We're on your side, man. Come on, settle down."
Let's see here. I think it's called Back to You is the name of the show. It had 17 episodes according to Wikipedia. His name was Chuck Darling on there. I'm pretty sure that's what it was called. Let's see.
Do you always do the raspberries when you do the pretty? I'm pretty sure.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I did there, though. You know he's on Modern Family?
Maybe some episodes.
Yeah, he was on there as the ringmaster. Ringmaster Keith. I don't know if that rings a bell to you.
I've not seen every episode of Modern Family.
Let's see. He's
like I have Everybody recently. Loves Raymond or The Office.
Yeah. So, yeah. Why'd you bring up Kelsey Grammer? Has he got something else going on?
He's got this movie that's coming out that looks fascinating. Okay, he's going to play an aging rocker, a la.
Is it called The Space Between?
Yes, it is called The Space Between.
His name is Mickey Adams in the movie, according to Wikipedia.
Oh, you're looking at a Wikipedia page?
That's all it says. I don't know anything about it.
No,
he's an aging rocker?
Yeah, so he's an eccentric, has-been rock musician, and he's losing his grip on reality because his record label wants to drop him and his newly created unique albums. So what happens this is art imitating life, right? What happens is you get this all the time from rock stars. I mean, Pearl Jam leaps to the front of the page on this, okay? Pearl Jam appeased the label on the first 3 albums. And then they're like, we're artists. We're going to do our own stuff. And a lot of their music's great, but they were not the hit machine that they were on the first 2 albums, for sure. And this
is one thing, a record company knows is what a good single is, what it sounds like, I'd say a good record, but they know what people want.
So Mickey Adams
necessarily isn't always great art.
Mickey Adams, played by Kelsey Grammer, when he goes this other way, he's like, I'm an artist. You know that the music is going to suffer when the artist comes to you and says, I'm an artist, and I want to go a different direction. So anyways, in this movie, they take a mailroom guy, and his assignment to get a promotion in the company is to go over to Mickey Adams, Kelsey Grammer's house, and tell him, guess what? We are dropping you. And the rock star drugs the mailroom guy, and it's a calamity of friendship that comes out of it because he's been drugged by the rock star guy.
Sounds pretty good.
It sounds like a really good show.
When is it out? Is it out now?
No, it's coming out soon, and this is where I have a tough time with it. I think it's going to be released on Paramount Plus, and I think it has something to do with Paramount's producing the movie, but I think it was part of his deal to get Frasier onto Paramount so he can make more money.
Are they rebooting Frasier for sure now?
Yeah.
Okay. And that'll be on Paramount Plus.
Yes.
Plus all the old episodes.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that the movie's probably going to be on Paramount too. But you know my bones with Paramount Plus.
Well,
I said no matter what they put on that streaming crap, I am not going to get it because of the fact that they cram it down my throat, left and right. It's so intrusive, so intrusive. I go to log on to Pluto, and they're like, check out this thing from Paramount before you watch the show that you were just watching in the middle of it. They'll just pop up
Maybe
a thing.
Paramount Plus owns Pluto.
They do.
Oh, so you are watching Paramount Plus. You're watching it through
I'm
Pluto.
not, because what it's done, it has gotten me off of Pluto and watching other streaming services now.
And are you paying for those?
Yeah.
You're going to have to.
I play for Peacock.
That's the thing that's driving me nuts about all of these, is now they're nickel and diming us everywhere.
But if this kind of practices of just forcing you to consume the content, and it's like, do you want to watch it now? And then you have to hit a button on your remote, and sometimes you'll hit the wrong button and you'll hit yes instead of no. And then you're like, it
charges you.
No, it doesn't charge you. Because they give you a preview. They give you a preview of it. And on that preview, they interrupt your show. Because they said, do you want to watch it now? And you're like, get this off my screen. And then you hit the wrong button. And then it doesn't get off your screen. It launches the damn program. And you're like, God, I was watching something.
Now you got to go back to
a-holes. And I'm going to miss it now because this is not a DVR. This is actually a streaming service. So I can't rewind. It's a pain in the butt. So But
anyways, if you don't hate Paramount Plus, you can look for the movie The Space Between Kelsey Grammer.
Cancel Paramount Plus.
Don't forget, 820 again, $1,000 and $100 every day. How you could win it. Details, 820 this morning.
Wow. Jeff and Jeremy in the morning.
Saw this and I thought it was pretty interesting. You and I talk a lot about the housing market. I mean, you recently bought in the last year. CNN Money just wrote up an article, and they did a study, and they found out from HSH.com, and they looked at the median house prices, and they pretty much came up with a formula that what you need to make a year, what the house costs, and what your monthly mortgage is going to be. The most expensive top 10 places in the United States. All right. And San Francisco came in number one. Still not a surprise there.
No, it is a bit of
California,
a surprise to me.
San Diego. Well, this is weird because New York City's on here. I don't see Manhattan, but San Francisco, San Diego, Los Angeles, 1, 2, and 3 in that order. And you have to make over $100,000 a year. I don't think that's your household. I think that's per person to be able to afford a mortgage. Yeah, the mean price of a house. Are you surprised that Los Angeles is so much cheaper than San Francisco?
No, more space. They have more space to have houses.
San Francisco clocks in the average mean price of a house is $835,000 plus. LA is at $536,000. We're more expensive. The average price here now is about $650. Mm-hmm. San Diego is at $589. We're more expensive than San Diego. So your average mortgage in San Francisco is going to be $3,500 a month. But this all depends on if you put your 20% down and what's 20% of it. I mean, you know what I mean? It gets crazy.
Right, but yeah, I understand.
So the housing market right now is crazy. I was looking at some chain on social media the other day. Somebody posted something on our page, by the way. Somebody we're friends with was trying to buy a house, and they said houses were going for 10 to 25% over asking price. 10 to 25% over asking price.
What is I got to figure out the percentage in which we gave. Oh, wait, I have to actually type that.
Well, you're over 10 for sure, right?
I don't think so. I think we were at about 10. 5.
Boston, New York, and Seattle are the next three. If you live in, by the way, San Diego, you need to earn about $108,000 a year, $100,000 a year in Los Angeles. Boston at 86, up in the Northwest in Seattle, 81,000. Portland, 69,000, and Miami, probably one of the cheaper places to buy in the top 10. The average house costs $315,000. You can make $1,500. I'm sorry, your payment can be $1,500 a month. I don't think I've ever paid under $1,500 a month in rent while I've lived here in 15 years. The cheapest I've ever paid.
What about the apartment?
Well, that was by myself. That was by myself. I mean,
there's so many times I wish I was back in the apartment I moved into 15 years ago.
The cheapest I ever paid was I had a place downtown SLO that was awesome townhouse on the creek, $1,700 a month, but that was in 2007. $1,500 a month you can pay for your mortgage in Miami. Pretty crazy stuff. So that I would imagine the average price around here has got to be about $3,000 a month to buy a house.
I went 10% over asking price. 10.4% over asking price.
Oh, okay.
So that's par for the course. I mean, you have to do it.
It's crazy because I remember the asking price, and then it would be a bidding more under the asking price.
You would work it down.
Now it's what's over the asking price. Will the economy change? I don't know. Will the housing market change? It all depends on the economy. With everything going up, lumber prices are through the roof right now. Mm-hmm. So buying and building new is probably out of the question unless you have a stack of cash that you came into or you've been saving and whatever. And then I would imagine with gas prices and everything else going up, and I don't see this changing in the near future because they've shut down oil production, gas production in this country. So we're always going to have to buy.
But it's such a weird dynamic.
In 4 years, if the administration changes, or in 3 years, if the administration changes and we go back to producing gas and things like that, prices will start to come down. We won't have to. I don't know. It just it's.
Could you imagine
hard to
what
tell.
You could have bought a house for around here 4 years ago?
Yeah, crazy, right?
Don't you wish you would have bought a house 4 years ago?
4 years ago,
knowing now what you know now and what this market is doing. I mean,
4 years ago,
our house, we bought it a couple months ago.
Yeah.
A couple months ago. Our house is, now this is based on the websites, and I think they drive up the values of
but everything's going up everywhere right now.
Our
it's
house
still going up.
Has gone up $17,000.
But eventually it's going to peak out. It's not going to keep going this way. It's going to drop out. The bottom will drop out.
But that was supposed to happen with COVID. That's why we sold the house that we had when COVID hit, because we're like, oh, this has got to be the top of the market. We got to get out.
Yeah.
And then we realized, crap, we got to get back in, because it's like it's not. And we've talked to real estate people on this show on a semi-regular basis, and they're like, yeah, it's the craziest. They can't explain it.
If you're in a hurry, yes, I would say you got to do it, because if you in the short term, it's going to keep going up. But in the long term, it can't continue to do this.
But if you're going to live in the house anyways, you have to have a place to live, right? So you can afford to take a loss even if the market goes south, unless you lose your job. I mean, I guess you have to be pretty secure in your job.
Sounds like you're defending your purchase. You don't have to defend it to me. That's not why I brought this up. I just brought it up because it's insane what you have to spend to live in California.
And I'm glad we bought
to live
the
in
house
California.
I'm not defending.
No, I know you're very glad. That's why you're defending it. I'm just saying it's expensive to live in California, and it's more expensive to live here on the Central Coast than it is to live in San Diego or Los Angeles or anywhere else except for San Francisco or the Bay Area.
But
I know about Oakland.
We've talked to Fred about that, and he said that people are leaving those areas, leaving San Francisco. They're leaving Los Angeles, and they're coming to places like this because they can, because their jobs will allow them to do so now. And why not live in a place where you don't have to sit in traffic for an hour and a half? You know, that's nice. That's a good thing. It's
a good thing for them.
The greatest thing about living on the Central Coast for me has always been, I know how long it is going to take me to get from point A to point B.
Really?
But
if everybody keeps moving here from L.A. and San Francisco and everywhere in between,
sometimes there are some exceptions. Sometimes there are some exceptions, like if there's an accident on the grade. That's the only time. that will shut down traffic. That's the only time. Outside of that, if it's just like a little fender bender, it might add 4 minutes to my commute. I would get mad about that 4 minutes. Now, growing up, that was a part of life in Seattle. You had to budget. It was a window. You shot for a time to be at a certain place, and you're like, okay, I can make it, within this 30-minute window, because traffic, you could never count on it. Same with Los Angeles, same with San Francisco, the Bay Area. It is a nice luxury of life here on the Central Coast to not have to worry about traffic.
Wake up. Jeff and Jeremy in the morning.
So I guess Ellen is getting a lot of flack for driving her wife to the emergency room, which I don't think is very fair. But this is what people do in this culture where we troll everyone.
With success. We only troll those with success.
Apparently, by the way, good morning. It's Jeff and Jeremy. You can join the program anytime, 805-543-3693. Did you hear the story about Portia, her wife, having pancreatitis in her pancreas?
Ooh, God.
Wait, no. I'm sorry, not pancreatitis.
I'm glad she had it in her pancreas.
No, what's the thing you have removed all the time? Not your pancreas.
Appendicitis.
Appendicitis. I apologize. It was appendicitis. And she was laying on the bathroom floor one night after Ellen had a few marijuana cannabis cocktails and taken some sleep aids, walked in, saw her wife on the floor in pain. Now, I'm not really sure why she didn't call 911, but she decided to drive her to the hospital instead. And now she's getting a lot of flack for it because she went on Jimmy Kimmel on 420 and talked about the fact that she was high driving her wife to the hospital. Now, I was reading a new study that your vision is compromised when you're high, but I've taken some of these sleep aids too, with their CBD and cannabis or THC to help you sleep, and it makes you very groggy.
Maybe,
are we being a little unfair to judge somebody in that situation?
Well, it is illegal to drive under the influence.
Sure it is. But what would you do? This was your kid or your wife. I think I'd call 911, but at the same time, call an Uber?
Yeah, they get there pretty quick.
Not always.
People, during the pandemic, you remember about a year ago, people were taking Ubers to the hospital because it was a more cost-effective way than an ambulance, by far. I'd take an Uber.
She said Chelsea Handler told her about these drinks. She drank one, she didn't feel anything. So she drank 3 more. This is the common excuse of somebody who says they don't know anything about this. Because when you consume something through your body and it goes through your digestive system and your liver, especially with cannabis, it takes like 60 to 90 minutes for, if anybody that does edibles would know that, right? You even know that. It takes time. It doesn't hit you like if you smoke it. So she says she drank 3 more, and then she was laying in bed, and then she heard some moaning, and she went in the bathroom and saw her, and that's when she got her and took her to the hospital.
Oh, look at these rich people.
It does sound very, very...
See, you think rich people don't have any problems? Yeah, rich people get appendicitis too. And then you're not going to have the problem if you're high and you drive your wife to the hospital of all of society coming down on you because you drove to the hospital high. See, it's good to not be famous.
But why wouldn't you call 911? I that's what we're taught from the time we're born to call 911 if there's an emergency, right? You just pick up the phone and you dial 911.
It's not like Ellen could not afford the ambulance ride, right? And that should have crossed her mind.
Well, yeah, but you have insurance too. Insurance pays for that. Well, not all of it, maybe, but a lot of it, most of it. I just think it's interesting. This happened to my mom. She had an allergic reaction. She is allergic to Aleve, which has something called naproxen in it, and she didn't know it. And she had a headache, and so she took some naproxen, and next thing you know, she kept saying her feet itched, and then she felt very flushed, and she was going to go lay down because she wasn't feeling well. Well, it's a good thing my wife gave her a Benadryl and went to check on her because her tongue was so swollen that she almost couldn't get any air. And instead of just calling 911, where an ambulance could have came and they could have done medical procedures on her.
She called an Uber?
She called an Uber. No, my stepdad grabbed her and took off.
Was he high?
He was drunk as a skunk. No,
was he?
He wasn't.
Okay.
It was before Thanksgiving dinner. I don't think he drank anything. But he panicked and rushed her to the hospital. And I thought, medical paramedics are medically trained, so where if you get to a scene and you're not going to make it to the hospital, they may be able to give you an assist. Like they could have,
they could
put
have
a tube in her
opened
throat,
the airway or something like that. I know, but then see, I don't know.
But you still have to wait for the ambulance.
You know what creeps into my mind? Yeah, exactly. You have to wait for the ambulance. It's like getting delivery to your house. You don't know. It's a wild card. Whereas if you jump in the car, how far the hospital is and how quickly you can get somebody there. I don't know. It's an either or situation that you have to. And
I guess at that time you're like, I'm high, but because I drank these drinks, but I want to get her there because I don't want her to die. Because but then what if I wreck the car on the way? And I don't know. I guess it's a lot of what ifs. You don't know until you're in that situation.
See, if I was high, I wouldn't do it because I'd drive there like 15 miles an hour, even though the speed limit was 55 or 65. I'd still be driving 15 miles an hour.
And she was high, so she wasn't making good decisions anyways, right?
I'd be in that slow lane.
What would you do? Would you drive high or drunk, or would you call 911? I think I would call 911.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're under the influence, you can't take somebody to.
But she did, and she got there fine, and she got home fine.
So you're saying the criticism is just then, because she didn't do the right thing?
No, I don't think people should be criticizing her because she was put in an impossible situation where she had to make a decision that most of us hope we never have to make. And she made the decision she made, and everything turned out okay. And I think we should all just let it go.
You know what she would be told if she worked here, though?
No, I don't. What, to get tested?
No.
Sorry.
Do better.